Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where professionals in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier, more balanced and live the lifestyle they love. Today in the studio we have Carolyn Pope, who is an animal communicator and therapist, and today we're going to be discussing animal global awareness, myth or truth. Hi Carolyn and welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. So can you tell us, is there animal global awareness? Is it true?
Absolutely it is, yeah. We have the internet, animals have the internet, and in the same way on Messenger, you can see someone's on there, but you don't want to talk to them. They can ignore you or other animals, or they can choose to communicate. And all animals are aware. The geese that fly from north to south and vice versa will literally spread the news. It's almost like in the old days when we only had the telegraph. Animals have always had it. We like to think that we're so superior, and yet the technology, in inverted commas, that they've always known what's gone on in other sections of the world. We're just a little slower to catch up.
Can you please give me some examples of what this is and how it works?
They have thought in exactly the same way we do, and it's the telepathics. I remember on September 11, I was staying at a mate's place, went down later that day to my horse, just looked at him and said, "Do you know about it?" And he said to me, "Yes, we all know about it. We just can't understand it. Can you explain it?" No, not really. But every animal on the planet, because you think how much that was broadcast across. Some of them will have picked up the people in the planes. Some of them will have picked up the pets and pet dogs, pet cats that saw it. The birds will have seen it. And it goes out in the same way it did on our television screens. They know and they understand. Another client of mine was going to Hawaii, and she was doing a communication to make sure the animals knew she'd be back and all those sorts of things. And the cat actually said to her, "Be careful. There's going to be an earthquake." First night at the pub, she's happily half tanked and telling everybody, and they were giving it to her for the rest of the trip. Oh, the earthquake. Day before they were due to leave, guess what there was? A large earthquake. She said it was such a shame it wasn't the second day because everyone was buying a drink. She could have had a lovely week. But the animals know so much more than we do. And a friend of mine's cockatoo, when we had that earthquake in Melbourne earlier this year, I think it was, or late last year, that was the strongest one we'd had in quite a while. Apparently half an hour before, he's turned around and gone, "Batten down the hatches. There's going to be an earthquake and it's going to be a big one." Sure enough, there was. So they know long before we do. They sense the energy of the earth and they all communicate because they feel it. I mean, you see all the pictures of the elephants heading up before the earthquakes or the tsunamis. Animals have this inbuilt knowledge. It's us humans that are left behind. We really like to think we're so all over it. We are so incredibly isolated from the rest of creation. We really are. And any animal can tune in to any other animal or person anywhere in the world and know what's going on. Friend of mine's cockatoo, it literally saved my life one day. I was really tired, mountain road. I was on my way home. I knew the road well, but it was one that a lot of people had killed themselves on. And he just said to me, "Slow down, look at your speedo." And I was doing 30k faster than I thought I was. If I'd hit that bend, it wouldn't have been pretty. And this is the thing, we are all connected. We forget that in the age that we're in now. You go back 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years. We were much more interconnected, not only with ourselves, because we needed the community to survive. We weren't isolated. We all lived together. Go back, particularly Europe, where there's snow, the animals lived in with you because otherwise they'd all die of cold, as we would have. You got to know the animals intimately on a bunch of levels that most people don't today. And we were connected. It mattered what they did. If they couldn't work or they were exhibiting signs of soreness, it mattered if they were a working animal. It mattered with the crops, because if your crops failed, you starved to death. These days we go to the supermarket, we don't think twice. We've become so disconnected. But often, particularly before a large weather event, for example, the animals would let you know. And even today, if it's going to be a really hot summer, the animals will all drop their coat a lot earlier. Then the people would know, oh, okay, we're going to be heading towards a hot summer, or vice versa, cold, wet winter. The animals start growing their coat 2 months earlier. The farmers would know and would try and stock up. We were interconnected. We've lost all of that, or most of that. Some rural areas still have it, but very few. And, these days, the most we do with weather is flip up our phone and look at the weather app. We don't even walk and look outside or know what to do. They used to look at the animals and work out. Quite often, that would be as good or better a weather barometer as listening to the Melbourne Bureau.
And if your animal is behaving oddly, what would be your advice?
There's always, always, always a reason. You need to find it. And don't wait. Don't let it drag out. If your animal's acting oddly, animal therapist, vet, and you may well find, yes, it may well be a massive thunderstorm. A lot of dogs will pace. One of mine used to know any sort of atmospheric pressure he struggled with. So 2 days before a storm, he could be bad. It was really unpleasant for him, poor little guy. But they know, you may find it's an earthquake, but often it's pain. Oddly, there's always a reason, but most times animals will be odd, is pain. So always, always get them checked by a healthcare professional as soon as you possibly can.
Thank you very much, Carolyn. It's been a pleasure. If you want to know more about Carolyn Pope and Animal Global Awareness, go to her webpage on our website at healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, and please stay tuned. We've got another fantastic guest coming after the break. Stay tuned. After the break, barbecue cook and healthy food advocate Sarah Kiryshin will be talking about healthy food for today's busy people. Welcome back to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, and we're here again with Sarah Kiryshin, barbecue cook and healthy food advocate, continuing our discussions regarding healthy food for today's busy people. And Sarah has turned up with this incredible feast. So please explain yourself, Sarah.
Alrighty, so this is one of my favorite topics. As we know, I am a barbecue lover and a busy person, okay? So for me, I need to make sure that everything ticks a box for me, right? So it has to be delicious, it has to be easy, and it has to be quite kind of straightforward to cook as well. So one of my favorite things to do on a Sunday afternoon is rummage through my crisper, have a look at all the veggies in there and think, great, what can I barbecue? What can I cook up today that will return favours for future Sarah? So I think about my week and I go, you know what? I'm going to get a lot of cooking out of the way now, get it all done, and then I've got some variety, some amazing healthy food. And because we're cooking on the barbecue, I get to have that char, beautiful flavour that is indescribable and unmatched, and I get to enjoy that throughout the week, which is wonderful.
So I see you've got broccoli, carrots, capsicum. Is it possible to switch that out and substitute it with something else?
Yes, absolutely. So what I do have is, for what kind of inspired this is I thought to myself, okay, what can I do with this food? So by cooking up the carrots, the capsicum, the broccoli, the eggplant, and then I've got a few proteins here. So I thought to myself, okay, great, I'm going to marinate the beef in some amazing soy sauce to give a bit of an Asian inspiration. Pairing that with some carrots and broccoli and the eggplant, it just makes this beautiful harmony of flavours. So out of this, I'll be making like a, kind of a Thai beef salad situation, a little bit of cherry tomatoes to add in some pop of freshness and some salad leaves. Boom. I've organised myself a delicious salad there that's going to obviously serve me tomorrow or the next day. So, and with the chicken, I can repurpose this chicken. Most of the time we'll just eat it straight off the skewer because it's so delicious and it's hard to contain ourselves. But what we can do is we can turn that into a salad. We can turn it into chicken wraps. You can slice the chicken finely, maybe even make some rice paper rolls out of it down the track as well. In terms of substitutions, what we can do is we could easily turn this into a vegetarian feast or even a vegan feast. So if we simply sub out or swap out the beef and chicken, we can add in some tofu. So what I would do with this is I would add some tofu in. Automatically it's a vegan dish or a vegan platter if we will. So I would grill the tofu. Of course we've got our broccoli and our carrots here. Put that in a rice bowl and you have yourself the most amazing charred, barbecued, crispy tofu. You've got a delicious rice bowl. It's filling, it's nourishing, and it's super, super easy. Alternatively, what you can do is you can grill some halloumi. One of my favorite things to do on the barbecue is to grill halloumi. That's a vegetarian option for us, of course. And again, it gives us quite a few options down the track. One of the things that I love to do with my grilled capsicum is slice it into thin slices, then pop it in a marinade of some olive oil and some lemon juice, a little bit of salt, maybe some oregano or some other fresh herbs. Then you've got yourself some marinated capsicum. You can put that on pretty much anything, sandwiches, wraps. Something I like to do is chop it up quite finely and make a little bruschetta mix out of it. The flavours that it infuses down the track, you're just doing future you a favour.
I'm interested in flavour and I would like to know how you infuse flavour into all the separate ingredients so they don't all taste like the one barbecue.
Alrighty, so this is a really, really good topic and one that I'm also very, very passionate about. So for example, with the eggplant here, what I did is I made up a little honey soy dressing. So while it's on the grill, I'm going to be basting that in a honey soy dressing. And then I turn it and it infuses it even more. It gets that little bit of char, I baste it again. And so we're kind of locking in that one flavour profile to that one element of the dish. And so with the broccoli, for example, that's already got an amazing char on it. So we think, okay, what can we do to enhance the flavour of broccoli? I personally love a little bit of butter, not too much, a little bit of butter and some salt. Broccoli is actually one of those vegetables that it tastes, when it's cooked right, it tastes so incredible. It's got this beautiful nutty flavour. So I love, when it comes to carrots, I absolutely love to put butter, honey and caraway seeds. For me, it is a match made in heaven. I have one dish that I do. I will char grill some carrots, pop it in the fridge for later, and then make sure I've put some honey, butter and caraway seeds on it. And then you can pop it on a little bit of whipped feta or any kind, honestly, anything, because it tastes so good. But on some whipped feta, it is magnificent.
Sarah, if you could give us your top barbecue tips, that would be fantastic.
Okay, so number one is to make sure that you have got your barbecue ready. Some people get a little bit intimidated because they think it's going to take so long to fire up a barbecue. For me, we're talking an hour of my day to cook all of this food. So when I'm doing a really big cook that involves a number of different ingredients, I do like to set up a bit of a production line. So what I would do is I'll just prep all my veggies, cut them up, put them separately on a large plate or in some containers. Then I'll make sure my barbie is extra hot, start cooking. When I start cooking, I love to ensure that I'm injecting even more flavour into it because I just love the barbecue flavour so much. So then I will use some wood chips. I'll pop some smoking chips on the charcoal just before I start cooking the food, and that starts to smoke up and will bring the most incredible flavour into this food. And you can also alternate the timings of when you're putting things on as well. So maybe you won't want a hickory smoke flavour in the carrots, for example. So what I would do is cook the carrots first and then I'll pop my wood chips on to get a different flavour in the different foods.
Thank you so much, Sarah. If you want more information about Sarah and barbecue cooking and preparing healthy meals for the rest of the week, go to Sarah's webpage on our website at healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, and stay tuned. We'll see you after the break with another terrific guest and interesting topic.
Stay tuned. After the break, naturopath, lecturer and author Michèle Wolff will be talking about the importance of the nervous system to the digestive system's health. Welcome back. Our next guest is Michèle Wolff, and she's a naturopath, author and lecturer. And the topic we'll be discussing today is the importance of the nervous system and the digestive system's health. Welcome, Michèle.
Thank you, Megan.
Michèle, what's the difference between the two?
Well, the mind and the nervous system have a big connection. So I'm sure you've experienced the feeling of butterflies when you've been frightened about something, or having a feeling of a stab in your gut when you're shocked about something. But scientifically, they've now found that not only do we have a brain-gut connection, but also that the gut has its own brain or own nervous system, so to speak. So for an example, it produces serotonin, which is a chemical produced in the brain that helps the nervous system and helps calm the brain. So our lifestyles can have a profound effect on the nervous system, and that has an interaction with the gut. So I'll give you some examples of food and of emotional health as well. So with emotions, they can actually affect the microbiome. So in microbiome tests, which are stool tests, they test over 700 different species now, and there can be an impact on that microbiome through your diet, but there can also be an impact on how you think. So if you're stressed or have an overburden of more negative thoughts, that has an impact on the negative aspects of the microbiome. And also that kind of stress has an impact on your upper digestion, so you won't produce as much pancreatic enzymes from your pancreas, or as much hydrochloric acid from your stomach, and the liver's implicated in that as well. So if you're frightened or holding on, it can kind of shrink those digestive chemicals, and it can also have an effect on constipation if you're holding on. Whereas completely different to that, you can have diarrhea if you're very anxious about something, and that can follow the butterfly feeling in the gut. And in your diet, a lot of people have coffee, but if you have a delicate nervous system, when you have a coffee, it will likely make you more anxious, and it will either give you diarrhea or pain in the guts, or inflame the gut. The other thing that coffee does is it's a diuretic, which means it makes you pee more, and then that has an effect at moving out magnesium, potassium and calcium, and those are major minerals for your nervous system. So you'll likely become more anxious or more stressed from those coming out. There are also lots of other foods that have an effect on the nervous system and then on the digestion. So any kind of junk food or sugar will make the body more anxious and more depleted, and then have an effect on wiping out your good flora and fauna in the gut, and having a negative effect on that. But if you have whole food, so for example, whole grains, legumes, good proteins, lots and lots of plant foods, then you'll get the nutrients for your nervous system. So the main ones being the magnesium, the calcium, the potassium, B vitamins are very important as well. And then the gut will have less effect. So if your body's too empty of those essential nutrients caused by too much stress or a problem with the diet, that will have an impact. Also, if you have long-term worry, or you have a very responsible position and you've got things going over and over in your mind a lot, you can develop inflammatory bowel disease. You can also develop inflammatory bowel disease from the wrong food. So There's a combination of things that can affect the gut and the nervous system, but the main ones are what we eat and how we feel and how we think.
Oh, fantastic. Is there any special foods or herbs that can assist with this?
Most people will have heard of chamomile. This is both a relaxant to the gut, and it also has a slight bitter taste, and that anything that's slightly bitter helps you produce more good digestive enzymes and good digestive juices, and it helps you produce more bile, which is necessary for the digestion as well. So ginger's a really good digestive, cardamom, fennel and peppermint. Those are really excellent also for building up the strength of your digestion and to have after food to help you digest that food more easily. So they might stop bloating and wind and make the whole passage of digestion easier. And you can use these spices generally in your food as well. So the more you use digestive spices, cumin is another one, the stronger your digestion will become.
That's great. Do you have any extra tips for our viewers on how to improve their digestive health?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, sit down to eat. I think a lot of us eat on the run, eat in the car, eat standing up. So sit down, chew your food really well, and practice one meal a day where you're actually chewing until the food is a liquid in your mouth, because you've got a lot in your saliva in your mouth that starts the digestion of food. Make sure you're generally well hydrated. Make sure that you don't lie down after eating. This weakens the digestion. So you're best to go for a walk for at least 10 minutes after a meal. Avoid eating late at night. So your digestion is strongest when the sun's highest in the sky. So that's normally between 12 and 2. The other thing is to only eat when you're hungry. So if you're eating and you're not hungry, it means you're still digesting the meal from before. That could be the night before. At the same time, don't let yourself get starving. You know, that can be detrimental to the body as well. We need to be nourished as well as have times of fasting, as well as having the spices that I've mentioned. And with your plate of food, just a healthy general plate of food would be half a plate of plant food with lots of green leafy vegetables in there. They stimulate the liver to produce more bile and help digestion. Quarter of a plate of carbohydrates, so within that would be starchy vegetables like sweet potato and pumpkin, or whole grains like brown rice, quinoa, buckwheat. And then about quarter of a plate of protein, whether that's animal protein, vegetarian protein or vegan protein. And within that about 20% of good healthy fats. They are very important for your nervous system. And that's a good balanced meal. And fluid is best to have warm for your gut, so that absorbs more. And you need to have enough for your height and weight. So if you times your weight by 33, so say if you're 60 kilograms and you times that by 33, you'll get the amount of mils, so it might be 2,000 mils, which is 2 litres, that you should have a day. And it's important to drink systematically.
Thanks for such valuable information, Michèle. If you'd like to know more about the importance of the nervous system and the digestive system's health and Michèle Wolff, please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. That's all for us from today. Bye-bye until next time.
If you'd like to know more about our show, please like our Facebook page and also subscribe to our YouTube channel.